the quaint town of Hawthorne, nestled amidst mountains and murky woods, the waning light of October cast eerie shadows. The residents had a long-standing tradition, an annual camping trip into Darkwood Forest. Young and old alike believed that the woods held ancient secrets, and every year newcomers were dared to stay overnight. This time, Sarah, a curious university student, was lured in by tales of spectral sightings and mysterious phenomena. With her college friends, Mark, Emily, and Jake, Sarah set off on a crisp autumn afternoon, fueled by excitement and an unshakable thirst for adventure. Armed with s'more supplies, flashlights, and the bravado of youth, they shared laughs as they hiked deeper into the forest. The trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their twisted branches whispering secrets only the wind could decipher. As evening fell, they found a clearing and set up camp. The sun dipped below the horizon, and an unsettling chill brushed against their skin. Sitting around the fire, the group exchanged ghost stories. One tale, in particular, caught Sarah's attention. The tale of Eleanor, a girl who vanished in the woods 30 years prior, her last words echoing through the trees, "They're coming for me." Despite these warnings, the group laughed it off, the warmth of the fire and camaraderie shrouding their senses. But as darkness enveloped the forest, the mood shifted. An unsettling feeling crept in, a sense of being watched. As night deepened, the wind howled mournfully through the trees. They gathered closer to the fire, roasting marshmallows and sharing lingering glances into the darkened expanse. However, the atmosphere thickened when Jake suggested a game of truth or dare. It started innocently, with playful dares, but soon escalated into terrifying confessions and eerie dares that hinted at their fears. Then it was Sarah's turn. "I dare you to go into the woods for 5 minutes and see if you can find anything strange," Jake challenged, a smirk on his face. The group cheered him on, though Sarah felt a twinge of apprehension. "Fine, just 5 minutes," she replied, attempting to mask her fear. Equipped with only a flashlight, she stepped away from the flickering firelight. The forest consumed her, an oppressive gloom wrapping around her like a heavy cloak. The crunch of leaves beneath her feet echoed unnaturally, and an uneasy feeling gnawed at her insides. After what felt like an eternity, she spotted something. Faded symbols carved into an ancient oak, half hidden by twisting vines. Suddenly, whispers filled the air, chilling her blood. "They're coming for you," echoed an unearthly voice, mirroring Eleanor's ominous final words. Heart racing, Sarah stumbled back, her flashlight flickering from the panic. She dashed back to the campsite, breathless, her face pale as she recounted her terrifying experience. The group dismissed Sarah's tale as paranoia, attributing it to the chilling atmosphere and the stories they'd shared. But as the night wore on, strange occurrences began to plague them. Shadows that flickered in their peripheral vision, hushed whispers that danced just beyond the reach of understanding, and the sudden feeling of being watched. Unable to sleep, the group huddled close, attempting to reassure one another. Mark, trying to lighten the mood, suggested a nighttime hike, hoping to dispel the disquiet that had settled over them. Despite their initial hesitations, they slowly accepted the idea, stubbornly forging into the darkness, each step more eerie than the last. As they wandered deeper, the woods grew denser, the air thick with tension. Unseen eyes seemed to follow them, and they couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. Then suddenly, Emily screamed as she stumbled upon a tattered yellowed diary lying among the root systems. The pages were brittle, the ink smudged, but inscribed across one page was Eleanor's name, a chilling confirmation of their fate. The very essence of terror gripped them as they realized they had unknowingly ventured deeper than anyone should dare. Whispered through the trees, a cacophony of desperation and dread. "They're coming for you." In their panic, Mark sprinted ahead to scout a clearer way out. However, the others quickly realized he had vanished into the dense fog. "Mark," Emily called out, her voice trembling. Silence answered, and a chilling dread settled over them. Jake, emboldened despite the fear, attempted to lead them toward where he last saw Mark. But every turn they took seemed to drift them further into the heart of Darkwood. The forest had transformed into a maze, and every shadow felt alive, pulsing with an unseen energy. Suddenly, Sarah stumbled upon something grotesque, A series of makeshift talismans hung from the branches, each one crafted from twisted branches, animal bones, and torn pieces of fabric that appeared to be clothing. The sight was nauseating, and the whispers grew louder, as if the forest was reacting to their discovery. "Guys, we need to leave. Now," she urged, her voice a mix of urgency and hysteria. Panic escalated as they turned back, but Mark was nowhere to be found. "He wouldn't just leave us," Emily whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. The group was losing hope, fear gnawing at their hearts. Suddenly, they heard a distant cry, a human cry. It echoed, desperate and afraid. Sarah's heart sank. "That's Mark," she shouted, tearing off in the direction of the sound. Emily and Jake hesitated, but followed her lead as the whispers grew louder, morphing into frenzied shouts. The trio followed the muffled cries, cutting through thick underbrush until they stumbled into a small clearing. There, a horrific sight awaited them. Mark was surrounded by shadows, figures that twisted and swayed unnaturally, their forms blending into the darkness. He was begging and pleading, his voice breaking their hearts. "Help me, please," he cried, his eyes wide with terror as he tried to break free from their grasp. A sensation of dread washed over them, and they realized these shadows were remnants, souls trapped by the forest's malevolence. Without thinking, Sarah charged forward, determined to save her friend. She grabbed Mark's hand, but as she pulled him away, the shadows tightened their grip, shrieking, "You cannot leave! You are ours now!" Jake and Emily joined, desperately pulling Mark while Sarah shouted, "We need to stand together." The group circled up, clasping hands tightly, anchoring each other in their fear. They began to chant Eleanor's name, compelling the forest to release them. "Eleanor, we know your pain. We free you," they cried out, their voices ringing through the trees. In response, the shadows recoiled, howling like a banshee, desperately clutching their ethereal forms. As they shouted Eleanor's name again, a burst of blinding light erupted from the earth, illuminating the clearing. The shadows shrieked in agony, their forms contorting, and in that moment, the spectral grip on Mark loosened. He fell to the ground, gasping for breath as the horrifying shadows dissipated into the night, leaving only tranquility in their wake. In silence, the group stood panting, the echoes of the forest fading as dawn's light began to seep through the trees. They turned to each other, raw fear etched on their faces. The bond they shared felt strengthened through their harrowing experience, but the shadow of Darkwood loomed behind them. Hand in hand, they forged a path back to the campsite, determined to escape before the day's light faded. As they exited the woods, a heavy sense of release washed over them, yet the echo of whispered voices lingered in their minds, a reminder of the haunting secrets of Darkwood. Years later, when they recounted the tale, they agreed on one thing. The forest would always whisper its secrets to those brave enough to listen. But they knew better. It was not the forest you should fear. It was the restless spirits that dwelled within. And every October, when the wind howls through Hawthorne, they remember Eleanor's faded cries and the bond forged in the fires of fear. A bond that was both a blessing and a curse in the haunting of Darkwood Forest.